Hi, I'm Bianca, and here we are at the next part of Nehemiah's prayer in 1 verse 10, where we see him crying out to God, reminding him who these people are that he's so burdened for. We read, "They are your servants and your people, whom you redeemed by your strength and your mighty hand." He is declaring to God that these are God's people that he saved previously and who had returned because he had brought them back. I think this kind of gives us a sense of Nehemiah's hope and trust. If God did it once, surely he could do it again. But before Nehemiah acts on anything to bring change and reprieve into these people's lives, he brings them before God in prayer, knowing that only God can move and change somebody else's heart. When we look here at who Nehemiah is describing, what we see, that we are these people too. Many of us are experiencing our own broken wall calamity. So we are his servants, we are his people, we belong to him, and we are redeemed. I'm going to unpack these for us. Firstly, the idea of servants. We might look upon being a servant as a lowly position, but here it is an honor and a privilege. Nehemiah was the servant as a cupbearer to the king of Assyria, which was a very high honor. In this case, the servant had the duty towards the master, but the master also had a duty towards the servant, to protect the servant. It was a two-way covenant. Then the idea of his people. We are God's people. We are the people who are unconditionally loved and accepted by God. We see in Romans 11:1 that God's people are never rejected. There is nothing that we do or don't do that will stop him from loving us. We will always belong to him and find kinship with other believers. As we see in 1 John 1:7. But if we walk in the light as he is in the light, we have fellowship with one another. And then lastly, looking at the idea of redeemed. It is to be delivered from the bondage of sin. And we have been praying this whole week like Nehemiah did, confessing our sins, confessing on the behalf of others. And we can know that we have been forgiven and redeemed. And we will continue to make mistakes, we will continue to sin, but we are not defined by it or enslaved to it. So here's the thing. If God gave them victory in a rebuilt wall, and we are these people, he can give us victory in rebuilding our lives for ourselves and rebuilding for others. So then, let us live like servants. Let us live like God's people who belong to him. Let us live like we are redeemed so that we can be a redeeming presence in this broken world. And here we are, willing to wait and fast and pray for God to move in our lives as his people who are for his people, who are for helping others finding a place to belong. And going back to what Sean shared yesterday, this is how, together with praying for these people, we are going to be an effective church. Thanks for joining us today. Please do join us again tomorrow morning.